Basketball is back. That's right, everybody, the NBA is back. Quite frankly, by the time this video drops, the Raptors will probably have played their first game, so just keep that in mind. These bold predictions, 3 of them that I'm going to hit you with, are all being filmed, technically speaking, before the Raptors play their first game, so just something to make a note of, but that is what we are doing today. So before I fully hop into things, usual drill, just make sure you're leaving a like on the video. Really helps the algorithm, out a ton, and you know that because I say that all the time. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, plus if you plan on doing any responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out my link in the description below. Before I hit you with the first one, just keep in mind these are bold predictions. While I do think realistically all these things can happen, that's why I'm talking about it. You know, obviously the right things have to go accordingly for all of this to happen. So let's start off with the first one, and it's going to be about Scotty Barnes. And I think I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Scotty Barnes will average at least 20 points per game, 7 rebounds a game, and 7 assists per game this season. Now, as far as, I guess, bold takes go, you can actually consider this a little bit on the milder side, in my opinion, because Scotty Barnes, obviously, we know he's going to be thrust into the number 2 role beside Pascal Siakam, so he's going to get his opportunities to flourish within the offense and obviously do damage within the offense. And I think he's capable of doing that damage, right? Like, while I never like to put too much stock into preseason because it's not always the best indicator, obviously, of who's going to be the great teams once the regular season rolls around, obviously because of minutes distribution, stuff like that, etc., etc. But for whatever it's worth, if we're rounding up the totals from the preseason, Scotty Barnes per 36 for the Raptors looked pretty damn good. Like, we're talking like 30, 10, and 5, I believe it was. Or ish, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, like, damn, that looks good. That looks good. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go out there and say he's going to take that. He's going to duplicate it into the regular season. Now, that would be extremely bold. But I do think there's going to be a year 3 leap. There's absolutely going to be a year 3 leap from Scotty Barnes in terms of his statistical production and, you know, what we actually see in the box score. And I'm comfortable enough to say somewhere at the very least around 27-7 is a very reasonable expectation. As far as the scoring goes, like, while he may not be the most gifted scorer, he looks a lot more aggressive in the preseason. That's the thing that I really loved from Scotty Barnes and watching him, especially when I managed to make it out to the game against Cairns. Like, Scotty looks aggressive. Scotty looks aggressive, and I think that's going to bode very well for his offense. I think he can get the scoring numbers up to above 20. I really don't think that's going to be a problem. And I think he can get the assist numbers up. I mean, realistically speaking, you're looking around the Raptors, you can make an argument Scotty's the best passer on the team. I guess you could make the arguments Pascal. I don't think you're going to make the argument that Schroeder, but at the very least, Scotty's one of the best passers on this team. And I genuinely think that so much of the offense is going to run through Scotty that he will absolutely have that chance, you know, to put on passing clinics at times. Now, I'm not talking like Tyrese Halliburton levels of passing clinics or like a prime CP3 or anything like that. But I do think 7 is a reasonable number that I think across the board, like, he can hit in terms of his assist marks and the rebounding. I think 7 is actually kind of conservative. I think he can definitely get some good rebounding numbers this year. All in all, again, this is just a long-winded way of me saying the Scotty Barnes year 3 jump, I think, is well loading, I suppose. It's going to be something we see this season, and to what capacity, I don't know in terms of the actual statistical production, but at the very least, I think a good benchmark is absolutely 27-7. Now, is this one bold or is this one conservative? You tell me, because the next one, I'm going to say no major trades this season. Yeah, I think that's a fair reflection based on what we've seen in the previous years with Masai Ujiri and the lack of movements, obviously, from Masai Ujiri, even when it felt like somebody should be traded or somebody really could get traded in terms of, you know, a fire sale. Well, not a fire sale, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't think there's going to be any major trades, even at the deadline. Like, even if the Raptors are not maybe that good, I don't even think that they're going to be shipping off somebody like Pascal for a couple of reasons. A, I don't think they're going to get the offer that they want, and we know, like, Masai's stingy about that shit. Like, I don't think he's giving it up unless he feels like he finesse the other team. So I don't think we see Pascal go anywhere. I think they ride that one out into the offseason and see if an extension gets done, or, you know, face the consequences thereafter. I don't really see them acquiring a big piece either, quite frankly, because I just don't see the pieces you're going to be throwing together for that kind of deal. I mean, like, we saw it with Damian Lillard, right? Like, he was on the table. The Raptors were in pursuit, but, like, they weren't willing to give up guys like OG Anunoby in those deals. So I don't really see them acquiring anybody big. I don't really see them trading away anybody major from the team. Could be wrong about that one. Like, I mean, again, like, I could be wrong about any of these. They're quote unquote bold predictions for a reason, but I don't see it. Even if, you know, there's times you might think that's like, yeah, that deal should have been done, or they should have pulled the trigger on that. I don't think Masai's going to pull it. I think he's going to ride for the most part this core and this unit out into the offseason, and the team that you see now is largely going to be the team you're going to see the entire season. Now, this last one's going to be fun because it's going to be me going against what I've said in terms of putting too much stock into the preseason. And while I'm partially kidding about that, I will say in the incredibly small sample size that we've had under Darko Rajakovic, if you're Serbian, you can tell me in the comment section what the proper pronunciation is. I think in a best case scenario, let's put it that way, the Raptors are a 6 seed and they are comfortably a playoff team. Now, on paper, you could argue this team is less talented than last year's team. You can debate that. Again, like, you can debate it either way depending on what you look at. But fit-wise, chemistry-wise, vibes-wise, I like the early returns under Darko. I really do. I think there is a clear-cut kind of pedestal on this team that you really didn't feel last season in terms of the hierarchy, in terms of, you know, Pascal, Scotty, OG Anunoby, Garrett Trent Jr. thereafter, whilst also having enough fluidity to kind of surrender to who's playing well. Again, just all based off early preseason indications, so take it with a pinch of salt. Like, yes, I'm going partially off that, but I think this team looks good. Like, I think the ball movement has looked really fun. I've, you know, screamed this to the heavens to anybody that would listen, but in particular, the off-ball action has looked great in terms of just having those little extra movements to create open looks on the perimeter, or those extra little cuts that you're gonna see to the basket. I like the offensive returns a lot. And I think if Toronto gets that consistently throughout the regular season, I really do think there is a chance, there's a good chance that this team is a lot better than advertised. If I remember seeing the line correctly, I believe it was 36.5 wins was the over-under for the Raptors. All goes well, I think this is comfortably a team that exceeds that. Granted, like I said, all things have to go well, but I like the early returns. Again, the vibes are vibing under Darko so far. I really do think, you know, with some of the things I've talked about, like a year 3 jump from Scotty and just the hierarchy being better structured this year than it was last year, and the roles kind of being better structured, I really do think this team has a chance to exceed expectations. Now, am I a little biased in that? Absolutely, you know, I'm a Raptors fan. But do I also consider it a real possibility for this season? Absolutely. So there you have it. Those are my 3 quote-unquote bold predictions for the year. Tell me what you think. Which one am I just completely wrong about? Which one do you think is good? Let's put it that way. Are all of them good? Are all of them terrible? Let me know in the comment section below. I always have a lot of fun with these videos, and I didn't really feel like, you know, with the time of when this is going to be dropping, I really didn't feel like a full season preview video was the way to go, so I thought it'd be a lot more fun and a lot more digestible to, you know, do the 3 bold predictions. So ended up going with that video. Hopefully you folks enjoyed it. Other than that, yeah, we're at the end of the videos, so reiterating the usual drill, like the video if you haven't already done so. It really does help the algorithm out a ton. I know I sound like a broken record, but I really do mean it. YouTube loves likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Other than that, folks, it's been JJ Buckets. You know it's been a pleasure, and I will see everybody next time.